And welcome back. It's a special birthday. Who would win for Parker Smith? By the way, look, dude, Chimua, you're on my list. Don't worry. You don't need to keep telling me to do your who would win suggestion. Your birthday is the 11th of December. I got it written down. You can chill, dude. And I appreciate the enthusiasm, but literally, it's just not gonna make it happen any faster. I wrote it down when you gave me the suggestion. You're good. Anyway, so every once in a while, I just get someone who is really overzealous, and I have constantly told people you repeat it, constantly repeating the same suggestions over and over again will not make it happen any faster, and I can't respond to every response. So it's I don't know what else to say at this point except guess do you do you. Anyway, so Parker Smith, your birthday, you asked for me to do two different variations on the same concept. Itachi and Kimimaro, both from Naruto. But you also asked me to do them both in their peaks and both at their lowest, their sickest. So I think the question we have to ask ourselves ultimately is just who win a fight as they are in the series at their sickest, because that kind of answers the question of who wins in their peak. Kimimaro is from the Kaguya clan, no relation to the actual Kaguya from the Otsutsuki, who is the mother of chakra. They were infamous for actually being very war hungry to the point where they actually destroyed themselves. But they are also known for their bloodline, which was so rare that it was thought to be extinct within the bloodline until Kimimaro had it. Now, its actual Japanese name, I can't recall. Dead Bone Pulse. Its English translation is Dead Bone Pulse. Or Bone Release, I guess is the best way to put it. Dead Bone Pulse, Naruto. Okay, Shiko Sutsumu Yaku. I might be butchering that slightly, but yeah, Shiko Sutsumu Yaku, or Dead Bone Pulse. This, as you can say, as you know or can tell, allows the user to not just grow bones, but manipulate their bones into anything. They have an accelerated healing factor because they literally are tearing the bones out of their bodies and their skin just kind of heals up. They are constantly able to just replace their bones when they're damaged, injured, or whatever. But that doesn't matter because their bones are pretty much harder than most metals. Kimimaro summoned a bone sword out of his arm that he made from his arm, and it was strong enough to just go toe to toe with any kunai, Gar's weighted leg braces. Actually, no, he did not use the. No, yeah, he did have the leg braces on. Capable of basically nearly piercing Gar's perfect defense. He is capable of firing bone and shrapnel from his fingertips, capable of using his bones. It's considered to be the best Keka Genkai for Taijutsu because you literally can just be a whirling death machine of spikes and death. And obviously he had the curse mark, which helped augment his power to the most for his point where he activates his second state, he gains his dinosaur-like appearance. In that state, he was able to literally create a giant forest of bones that nearly killed Gar and Lee. In fact, he nearly killed him if he had died on the spot. Created the giant bone lance that would just envelop his arm and nearly pierced Gar's absolute defense. It is just he is just a very powerful individual in the Naruto world, especially for part one. Going to part two, there are characters that would have honestly taken his ass out, no worries. Mostly Akatsuki, frankly, could probably beat him. I'm trying to think if there's anyone who would not beat him on the Akatsuki. Sasori would probably beat him. Kisame, Pain. Konan might have problems with him. Unless she's able to set up her giant paper bomb thing or just, create massive amounts of paper bombs. Most, if not all the members of Akatsuki could beat him. But that leads us to the question, does that include Itachi? As we know, Itachi is the older brother of Sasuke. He was considered a prodigy, a master of the Sharingan. He's also a master at Genjutsu, capable of just casting it simply by pointing a finger. And even without using Mangekyo and Tsukuyomi, his Genjutsus are very effective. And so, just that alone, I think, poses a problem this fight for Kimimaro, because We don't know how Kimimaro reacts to Genjutsu. No one ever used that we saw anyway, used the Genjutsu on him. But I will play devil's advocate here. Because Tayuya was part of the Sound 4 and he was a leader of the Sound 4, originally in Sound 5, and he pretty much beat all 4 of them, my guess is his resistant capabilities to most Genjutsu, at least below like the Mangekyo level, must be on a considerable level. So basic Sharingan Genjutsu won't work on Kimimaro. Okay. And Itachi's not going to be stupid enough to get into close combat range with this guy. So what else does Itachi have? Well, at that point, we go past his standard fray of Genjutsu. He's clearly knows fire style jutsu. He's an Uchiha. We know he knows at minimum fire style fireball. He probably has multiple others under his belt. We know he has a summoning contract with the crows. How he mostly uses it seems to be like for getaways, distraction, things along those lines. But beyond that, then you go into his Mangekyo abilities. And it's at that point in this fight that Itachi would very much take the lead. Tsukiyomi is one of the strongest Genjutsus in the entire Naruto world, much stronger than anything Tayuya was able to dish out. Because Shikamaru was able to break out of Tsukiyomi just by snapping his finger. When I mean that, I mean broke his finger. So Pain was able to get you out of there. Tsukiyomi is so powerful. You're literally warping reality, and well, technically you're not, but you're warping the opponent's concept of reality. There's time dilation. He made his girlfriend live out an entire life within a fraction of a second before killing her. It was insane. Like, it's insane how strong Tsukiyomi is. The fact Kakashi survived it and then passed out is nothing short of astounding. Which shows you how tough Kakashi is. But beyond that, if the Genjutsu isn't going to work, he still has Ninjutsu, which Amaterasu, the most useless badass technique in Naruto as has been described to hurt. Because it in concept is an awesome technique. Black flames that help it burn everything, even other flames, until there's nothing left. But every time they've been used, until Sasuke got the ability to manipulate the flames himself, every time they had been used prior, they really just didn't do shit. Yeah, he burned himself out of the fire toad's stomach. But beyond that, what did we have here? We had Sasuke and Itachi doing a Amaterasu fight. Not even they didn't use an Amaterasu fight. Yeah, he countered Sasuke's fire, but it didn't ultimately do anything beyond that. Sasuke's didn't do anything until, really, when you think about it, it just didn't do anything until he gained in Kagasuchi. Against the Eight Tails, he had burned him, but he failed in his mission to get the Eight Tails there. With A, yeah, he set A's arm on fire, and A just said, bitch, I don't care, and just beat his ass there. Yeah, up until he gained the Kagasuchi ability, the Blaze Release, the ability to manipulate it, it just didn't do anything. So, that said, however, Kimimaro is one of those individuals who just does not have an ability, unless he were to just create a sudden shield of bone to counter Amaterasu, especially if Itachi were to spam it. Which leads into the final ability, Susanoo, Itachi Susanoo, which was always incomplete, by the way. We never saw the complete version of Itachi Susanoo. It theoretically could have been the strongest of them based on what it just did in its incomplete form, because in its incomplete form it had I never remember the name of the beads, but it had the range technique with the beads, which are just pure chakra, so it's just firing chakra attacks at you. It's got the Yada Mirror, which can reflect all 5 elements in pretty much any attack. And it's got the Tosca Blade, the Ethereal Blade, which seals you in a state of a drunken stupor for, not even, let me rephrase that. It seals you in a drunken world of, like, stupor or whatever for all eternity, pretty much. Orochimaru escaped it by plot convenience. That's it. So, yeah. And it's a pure chakra construct. You're not getting through it unless you've got equivalent power in chakra or physical or whatever. You need equivalent power. Like a Tail Beast Bomb, if he isn't able to put the Yada Mirror into a defensive position, could theoretically break his Susanoo, but you need something powerful to break a Susanoo. Kimimaro, I can tell you right now, does not have the power to take down the Susanoo. But the question ultimately becomes, though, who wins if they're sick? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if they're at full health, no sickness whatsoever, Itachi's taking this all day, all night. I don't think anyone's arguing that. Kimimaro, for his abilities, I don't think would be able to get to Itachi fast enough, because Itachi can literally activate his Susanoo at the speed, faster than the speed of lightning. because Kirin was moving at the speed of lightning, maybe even faster, enhanced with chakra, and Itachi was still able to block it with his Susanoo's activation. But the question is, who wins when they're sick? Now, the diseases both these guys had is still not 100% known. I've heard some people say that Itachi had like a chakra disease of some kind. I don't think that's what it was. I've heard other people say he's had tuberculosis. Based on the blood coughing, this does seem to add up more. That's what Itachi had. Kimimaro's disease, we never know what Kimimaro's illness is. In fact, it's really not, unlike Itachi, where we can gain clues to what his disease was, it really is not made clear what Kimimaro's disease was. All we know is he was terminal, and he only had a couple hours left to live in the span of the series when we met him. Itachi, on the other hand, yes, his disease ultimately is what did him in, but he had been sick for a good while and was using medicine to basically keep himself going. It's clear why both these diseases were terminal. Itachi's was the one that, unless it's just more like Itachi had better constitution than Kimimaro, which is hypothetically possible. Based on these two, though, I probably would actually give the constitution to Kimimaro, if I'm going to be honest. Based on his Kekkei Genkai, because it's a more organic Kekkei Genkai, I'd have to believe his constitution's a little higher. I'm speculating out my ass on that one. But if we're going by the idea that maybe they had similar constitutions to each other, entirely possible, it would seem that Itachi's disease, while also fatal, was something that was a bit easier to cope with, because as long as he wasn't straining himself too much, he could go on a bit longer. In fact, granted, he was going blind by the end, but hypothetically, had he not fought with Sasuke, he probably would have lived a bit longer because he wasn't pushing himself at all. I don't know how much longer he would have lived, a couple days, a couple weeks maybe, but he probably could have lived a bit longer. It was the fight that ultimately pushed him. Kimimaro knew he was just dying, and he even said his body was moving through sheer will alone. And he only lived for a few more hours past that point. I would say that in terms of how their disease is going to affect them in a battle, it's going to be Itachi. But in terms of who theoretically is going to die faster, it's probably going to be Kimimaro. That said, however, I think this is all still a moot point because Kimimaro does not have a really effective counter for Amaterasu, let alone a way to really deal with a Genjutsu the level of Tsukiyomi or deal with Susanoo. And that's really what this is going to come down to, because Itachi would probably see Kimimaro as dangerous enough to warrant using his Mangekyo on. And so, ultimately, I would go with probably Itachi with this fight, when they're sick. And if Itachi's going to win when he's sick, he's certainly winning when he's at full health. That said, though, just my opinion. Let me know in the comments below if you have a different opinion. Until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.